for us, we're taking it, 24/7. We're living it throughout the day, and it's kind of the second child. We have three kids. We have Alon, then we have Anima, and now we have Ariel, the youngest. So yeah, it's one of the part of the family.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley, in partnership with Leumi Tech, sponsored by Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Turing, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, and in media partnership with CTech. Welcome to the world of developers. Today we're talking with Avishay Cohen, the CEO and co-founder of Anima. As a developer, then team leader, then VP R&D, Avishay saw again and again that the way we're building front-end is broken. There's plenty of groundwork to automate. That's why he started Anima, a design-to-code platform, allowing R&D teams to convert designs into developer-friendly code, skip the boring parts, and build front-end 10 times faster. Avishay Cohen, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. We're going to start off in your army days. I usually like to start going backwards a little bit. You flew an F-16 jet, but there's also a really fun story with how your second position in the army actually brought you all the way to what you're doing today to Anima, right?
Right. So I actually started coding as a kid, but then I didn't get to it in the military. I joined the Air Force. First, I went to course to pilot course. And then I dropped after 1 year, and I went to be an air traffic controller. And it's a very interesting job. You get to do a lot. I did get to fly an F-16, very exciting. Yeah, I did flew some jets on course, like pilot course, but this was a thrill. And actually, as an ATC, I met my wife, Michal, who's today my co-founder at Anima. So yeah, it did lead me all the way here.
Wow. So we're gonna talk about co-founding a company with your wife. And did the two of you also go through the Y Combinator experience together?
Yeah. So we are actually three co-founders. After the Air Force, we both went to Beersheba University, where we met our third co-founder, Or Arbel. And then Or and I studied computer science, and Michal studied business school. Later on, she went to Shankar, became a product designer, and Or and I are more technical. Yeah, and we all worked at different startups. Early on, we also went to work at bigger companies. We understood very fast that it's not for us. And then we worked at different startups. Before Anima, I was VP R&D on a 60-person startup called Mobley. And yeah, well, over the years in different positions, we felt this huge pain of it's really hard to build front end, and UX today is super important. And I guess we'll talk about Anima a lot, but yeah, we did start Anima on 2017 and went to do Y Combinator on 2018. All of us. Yeah, it was
amazing. And so obviously, it's not it's become also almost a cliche or a well-known phrase. Software is eating the world by Andreessen Horowitz, and the idea of prototyping, the intersection between design, front-end development, and back-end development. This idea of full stack and the ability for somebody to experiment has become so pivotal in the life cycle of a startup. That you're really, and especially I'm assuming that in Y Combinator, one of the things that you're most measured by is your ability to experiment as much as possible, right? I mean, that's essentially the essence of this program, right?
Definitely. So YC was a great ride. We stayed at Sunnyvale at the Silicon Valley for 6 months, and we lived all of us together. Michal and I, my kid. and Or's dog. And it was pretty
Wow.
intense, but it was really fun because we got to do what we love 24/7, which is, like you mentioned, iterating the product. Um, and yeah, I think you touched, you asked me about one thing, like a lesson learned. I think this is the one thing that I take with me, or maybe to tell people that start now their own startup, uh, to iterate as fast as possible. And we always talk about MVPs, minimum viable product, but yeah, as faster as you iterate is as faster as you build something people want, as Whitey puts it. Yeah. Um,
Right. And so Anima, you're actually facilitating that or helping facilitate that on the no code world for designers and front end people. Tell me a little bit about this pain point that you've been thinking about all the way since 2017, and how did you even get to think through this pain point and become so passionate about it?
sure. So again, I did multiple parts as a developer, then team leader, then VP R&D, also consulted at Track. And you see it all over. You see when you try to deliver, software, and today the UX expectations are really high, and building front end is a bitch. You're a full stack engineer, while you spend half your time doing, logic, algorithms, backend, etc., and then half your time pushing pixels. So it
Yes.
doesn't make any
More
sense.
than half the time pushing pixels.
Yeah, exactly. So as both as an engineer and then as a leader, you see smart people, and their time is really expensive, spending half their time pushing pixels, staring at images, pushing pixels. And again, you mentioned the no code movement and the low code movement, and this problem has been solved in worlds of no code. If you're building a landing page or e-commerce, you have Webflow or Shopify or Wix or Squarespace. But then if you have an engineer involved, again, they stare at images and coding them. And so we automate this part. Instead of sharing images, designers keep working with tools like Adobe or Figma. But then instead of sharing images, they actually share code with engineers, allowing them to deliver 10 times faster. So this is what we do. And yeah, that's the gist
And
of
so at the
Anima.
end, one of the it's at least from the way I see it, you're taking this world of engineering, and you're changing the journey, and you're changing the expectations of the users, and you're changing the life cycle of how engineers are interacting with designers and the code that they're getting. When you're starting this out in 2017, and you're starting to work with engineers, and you're an engineer yourself, and you've facilitated a lot of engineering, how do you get the feedback from this new interaction? Because you're really sort of almost educating a new market.
That's a really solid point, because everyone that starts to solve this problem, and we're not the first ones, start with a WYSIWYG tool. So including us, by the way. So we said, all right, we want to allow people to create really rich experiences, and then produce code that makes sense for engineers, not only for the browser. Um, and so it will be the easiest if we give them our own environment. And this is what we started doing. And really early on, people were really excited about it. But after we were released, they ditched it after 1 week. So, like you said, don't get to change people's ways that fast. So, really fast, we realized we need to embrace the way they're already working. And instead of building our own design tool, we connected to the tools they're already working with. So, be it Sketch or Figma or Adobe, we connect to these tools. They already design, the front end there. Um, and then on the other end, we also don't want to tell engineers how to write the code. So we don't have an opinion on how the code should look like. An engineer tells us that they are working with React, they are working with style components or not, or Tailwind, etc. And how what set of conventions they want their code at. And that way it's easier because you don't change the ways too fast.
Right. And so where does this actually impact in the life cycle of a startup? Because I imagine that at the end, regardless of how great the code that you manage to automate, at the end, the code that goes into production is going to go through various cycles of code reviews and is going to adhere to the conventions that you're not able to tailor and personalize to every specific company. So where in the life cycle of the product development do you help expedite this 10x?
Right. So maybe we'll zoom out about what we do. We started with giving value to the design team, to the product team, building the first POC prototype. And now that those prototypes, we translate Figma into HTML or React, they can actually do crazy stuff. They can create responsive designs and add videos or maps or any, embed code in it. And that's the first touch, giving value to a single designer. Later on, they share it with engineers. And engineers today, most of the value they get is if they're building new products like greenfield applications.
Right.
Yeah, and like to quote one of our users, they got to deliver, 6 months worth of work in a matter of 2 weeks. So literally 10x faster for a new version. But down the road, we will actually integrate with your GitHub. First, pushing code, like creating pull requests to be approved by an engineer. But then we will actually pull your existing code base and embed your existing components in new code. So that way it makes the whole thing continuous. Does that make sense?
Right. It does make sense, and I think that what makes most sense to me is going back to this idea of agility and this idea that even today we're looking at big companies. They have their line of products, but their existence is going to be limited if they don't continue iterating on new products and empowering teams and individuals to go and create demos. And it sounds to me that the huge added value here in the aha moment is this idea that within a large organization, you can still iterate quickly and be agile and create MVPs that even if that second step that you're talking about doesn't complete the cycle, even that part of being able to deliver a product that one can actually experiment with and even potentially work with users and show users within a matter of weeks, that's pretty amazing.
Thanks. That's exactly it. Well, with that, while we were at Combinator, we sat with Paul Graham practicing the pitch, and one of the things that he mentioned that we should realize or emphasize is that product market fit isn't binary here. It's gradual. So it's a pie, and you first give value to the most basic use cases. And designers are really happy about Anima today. They get huge value out of it.
Right.
And today we focus on R&D teams that are building new products, and they are getting really excited about it. And down the road, it will be more and more complex use cases, if that makes sense.
No, that does make a lot of sense. Now, talk to me a little bit about this idea of co-founding a company with a friend and a wife. How does that work? You've been doing this, I guess, for 3-4 years now.
Yeah.
How does that even work?
So it works great for us, at least. Some people look at me look at us like we're crazy, but for us, it's something we both are really excited about. Michal coming from the design world, me coming from the technical world. And so for us, we're taking it, 24/7. We're living it throughout the day, and it's kind of the second child. We have three kids. We have Alon, then we have Anima, and now we have Ariel, the youngest. So yeah, it's one of the part of the family.
I love that, and so when you're as you're co-founding, obviously there's going to be some not conflicts, but there's going to be disagreements on vision or how the product should look or how the pitch should look or how much money to raise and the strategy and the vision. How are you able to separate that from, the life that comes after work?
Yeah, so actually, I was speaking with the founders of Honeybook. They're also a married couple,
Yeah.
and they told
Yes.
me that the interesting thing is you always have conflict with co-founders, right? And you have different opinions, and then when you're a married couple, you have to make it work because you spend you don't break it so fast. It's easier for co-founders to split, but not for a married couple. So you're together in it no matter what. And also, to be honest, or is also like family. We all go back more than, I don't know, 14 years now as good friends. So
Wow.
yeah, we're family by now.
I love that analogy, especially that I don't know what the recent statistic. I think it was that 35% of early stage companies close because of founder disagreements. The founder split. Well, here it's not that simple.
Exactly.
I guess which is exactly what you're saying. So maybe it's actually an advantage. So maybe we should start looking at more companies founded by couples.
Well, it's been working for
That
some
could
of
be an
us.
interesting thesis.
Yeah. There's
Avishai,
a
well,
few interesting use cases.
what has been the most exciting for you throughout this journey? The past 4 years, you've done quite a few meaningful positions in various organizations. As you're now running this company, what has really been the most exciting part for you?
So we started Anima as a bootstrap company. We haven't mentioned it by now, but we've been iterating a lot on the product before we fundraise. And so I think the most exciting point was after iterations and iterations was, when it all blew up. So we released the first version, our own design tool, which was the spaceship, not an MVP at all. And so we had to iterate really fast and take only the parts that people liked about it. Iterated, and then at one point, when we allowed we took one feature. We allowed designers to create responsive designs with the existing design tools. Again, because we translate it into code, it's possible. So then we published it on Product Hunt, and it went viral. And then, like, this was, building a startup is a roller coaster. This was one of the most exciting parts, seeing it blew up. And it leveraged, the whole growth came afterwards. And yeah, we iterated, of course, a bit more than we did Y Combinator. And then we actually was cash flow positive a year and a half ago as a bootstrap company.
Wow.
Yeah, really exciting. And at this point, we had to think hard if we want to involve investors or not. But then it's a huge space, and we need to go as fast as possible. So we decided to raise funds. We grew the team from 4 people to 20 today, and yeah,
Wow.
it's been really exciting. Also, by the way, we grew up a lot during COVID, which was also a crazy experience. Yeah,
I love that.
we do happy
How
hours
many
over
people did you
Zoom.
grow during
So
COVID? How many
so
did you
we
grow during COVID?
basically grew from 4 people, like three co-founders and the first employee, Pablo, into 20. So almost everyone was.
All during this time.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow,
yeah. And we're
that's
we're a hybrid company. Like most of us are in Israel today, but we have people all over, from Barcelona to Morocco to Portugal and California. We're all over.
incredible. Incredible, Avishai. It sounds like you're doing really, really fascinating work, and then the story behind it is no less fascinating. And so, best of luck with
Thank you
Anima.
so much.
And I have a few fun
All right.
questions before we end. We'll start off easy. Favorite subject in middle school or high school?
All right. So I did mention that I loved computer science early on, but I actually didn't study it in high school. I did it, on my own. So I studied electronics and physics, and the number one would be physics because of the teacher. It was super interesting, and a brilliant person that passed it, and physics is the number one pick for me.
Wonderful. And one of your role models, somebody that inspires you.
So I know that people are saying it a lot, but those would be my both parents who are also entrepreneurs, build their own business. It's not in tech, but they build their own business, multiple businesses, and today they're gurus in their own field, have their own huge business. So
Wonderful.
my parents.
And what are 3 words that you would use to describe yourself?
All right. So one would be family. Like I'm a family guy. I'm first a father and a husband, and and we're very close to the family. And that would be one. Second would be well, I chose software because I love software, like building it, but what it enables us, you mentioned software is eating the world, and all of our, especially on COVID, we've seen that our lives transferred into the virtual space, and it's amazing, and I think the potential is huge, and I just love it, and that's the reason for what we like, that we're doing what we're doing. We're enabling teams to create it better, a better virtual world.
So I have family, I have software, and I need one more.
One more. So actually, I chose traveling. So before COVID hit, and maybe also before Anima, Michal and I, going back from the Air Force, we got to travel a lot. So I think we traveled over, if you accumulate it, over 2 years in South America, Central America, in the East. We did United States, Europe. So we love to travel. Yeah.
Avishay, toda rabba. This was wonderful. Best of luck with Anima.
Thank you so much.
Continue helping companies be more agile, and designers and developers and everybody in between. It sounds like you're doing really great stuff. Thank you for sharing with me your journey.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Stay healthy.
Likewise.
Bye-bye.
Bye.